shelter and a warm place to sleep. So that's where we're at right now. We are there. And now we kind of get to dive in. So, first things first, and I'm totally going to get to, like, give some giveaway things here, which maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'll do it on my other screen. Why not? Because I actually have chat open here. And hi, Marine. Hi, Initiative. Welcome. We are on our way. So, first and foremost, I hope you all are ready. Marine and Initiative did provide me some documents. If you all want to see them, they are actually here live and for the public on Reddit. So, you get to see what they submitted for tonight's world building stream. So I'm pretty excited about that. Marine said, well, I wish I had known that before I made what I did. I still like what I have, but there are tons of great things I could have included if I had known it was a tundra yesterday. Well, there is tundra, there's other places too. So it's a frigid land. But yeah. So, and don't worry, there's going to be more sessions too later. This is our very first introduction to doing any of this. So we're all learning as we go here. And that is a great thing. Alright, so let me begin. I'm going to actually go down here, and I'm going to read you Candlehurst. So our adventure tonight is in Candlehurst. This is where we're starting. Candlehurst is one of the few cities in the region of Naltulth. Nice spears of many different cultures from the south found their way here to the farthest, most northern continent of Naltulth. Nice spears had felt that this was the next big adventure when it comes to exploring the unknown. Many of them banded together and set sail, seeking to expand their worlds, landing here in Candlehurst. While expanding their reach through exploration is true of the Nice spears here that reside in Candlehurst, word spread that the mountainous regions of Naltulth hold riches, metals, and gems beyond some of their wildest dreams. Thus an opportunity that was difficult to pass up. Too much of an opportunity for it to pass up. Today in Candlehurst, Nice spears are thriving in the city and have made it one of the largest ports on Naltulth. Really, it's the only port. After making some trade pacts with Darkspire, which is the deity here on Naltulth, and the native Darkmeld goblins, the Gravehand kobolds, and the Blindstrike orcs of this region, resources flow in and out of Candlehurst in abundant amounts. Regularly, you will find Candlehurst as a safe haven, a place where you can turn to in even the worst of situations, welcoming one and all. From the natives of Naltulth to any Nice spear stranger among them, you are welcome at a Candlehurst table. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Initiative. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask. So, tonight, we are just at the head, kind of out of the city. So, to kind of paint you a picture here, the city of Candlehurst kind of sits upon this strange plateau, mountainous ledge type of thing, which isn't a great description. But that's kind of one of the best things I can describe to show you. So there's kind of this bay almost in a shoreline, and then there's like a mountain region that comes up, and a lot of homes are up there. Below you kind of have the docks. You have the town, part of the town. Lots of lights are out and they're flickering because of the candle and the winds that are kind of blowing in. They're all candlelit. The interesting part, though, is that those flames are actually dark flames. So they're not... It's still bright, as if it were a candle that had been lit. But the flame is not orange, or red, or blue. It is, in fact, a dark gray, almost a black in color. Now, there are other candles that are around, so you'll still have orange, and, they still can make fire. But there are still lamps lit in that way. Just over that pass, over that ridge, where that all the a lot of the homes are, and a lot of like the cranes to pick up boats or pick up fishing cages or traps or whatever they've set. Just over that is actually a cave, a multiple cave region of people, of orcs and goblins and kobolds. And Candlehurst is actually a very strange city because of this. It truly incorporates the very meaning of all is welcome. So Candlehurst is not only architecture of, humans, or of an actual, a home of sense. A home could also mean a cave as well. And all of these parts are part of Candlehurst. Let's see here. Marines sound like the right place, the good mood lighting. Yeah, and a good place to chill. Yo, that is aesthetic AF. What kind of architecture do they have in Candlehurst? Yeah, so you're kind of looking at your typical, like, I would say like well, you know what? Maybe I can just show you a work in progress. How about that? Oh, here you go. So this kind of gives you an idea of what Candlehurst is going to look like. And this gives you the idea of us being on the shoreline and kind of having those ridges and the different cranes and some of the lighting too. That's fun, isn't it? I love seeing work in progress art, especially of things that are very, very real. Yes, so this kind of gives you an idea of the architecture, where it's going, but as I had mentioned, just over that ridge, right here where this ridgeline is, there are caves, and there are dark-milled goblins and orcs, and blind strike orcs and grave hand kobolds. So, Darkspire is very much alive in this area. For those of you who don't know what Darkspire is, Darkspire, they are a deity in Naltulth, which I had just mentioned, but that's what you see here. Awesome, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, Neo-Gothic, yeah, I guess is kind of close to it, yeah. There's going to be some other things you'll see in here too. I personally love the cranes in Candlehurst. I thought that was such a great touch because they're going to be like able to go into the water and like crank those traps up, like if they don't need to go down and it's like too cold outside. It kind of adds almost that a little bit of a reality, like a realistic feeling to it. Not to be confused with the Darkspire TM, correct? So. This is a work in progress image of Candlehurst. More to come. But that's where we're starting tonight. So, you are kind of at the tipping point, the tip point of Candlehurst. Going inland, not outland. So here, I would say, as you can see, here's the water. You would be roughly about 10 to 20 miles inland. Because Candlehurst is literally the only place that has life. Well, let me rephrase that. That has a city with life in it. There are no other cities. There are no other towns. And you are now about to explore and go through some of the harshest and probably the most scariest places you've ever been. Not too dark scary. But literally, it is freezing here. It is so cold that if you were to sneeze, your sneeze would literally just evaporate into mist. It is so cold that if you were to remove a piece of cloth, say from your arm, in a matter of seconds, your hair on your arm would instantly all of the moisture would turn to ice. So it is really, really, really damn cold here. um, you might. It's up to you. Like I said, this is why this is fun, because you don't have to. You don't have to actually be, have a character sheet like an RPG. It's a new concept. It's never really been done before, or maybe it has, but not in this way. But it is so cold that you can see the moisture evaporate very quickly, or not evaporate, but turn to ice, right? So I'm going to let that set in. Right now, as you are at the tip of Candlehurst, 30 miles inland, 20 to 30 miles, or 10 to 20 miles inland is what I had said. You are now waiting with a caravan. And there are 3 very important characters that you should know about in this caravan before we head out. Oh, actually, excuse me, 4 important characters. So here they are. The first character is Captain Leinald. And Captain Leinald is the one who is leading this exploration. In this caravan, he, right now, he has parchment in his hand, and he is with another important character known as Corporal Kalen Grimefoot. Now, Captain Leinald, he is, kind of a smaller guy, athletic built. He has some, beautiful looking brown hair. Kind of shoulder length. And there's already ice forming on his pauldrons as he's checking things off, and you can kind of see the ice crystals form around the edge of the parchment as he's checking things off, and he is speaking with Kaylin Grimefoot. Now, Kaylin, she is a goblin, and she just so happens to be, I think they're a snowy goblin, frost goblin. Anyway, she is one of the other heritages and or ancestries. I'm sorry, and she is kind of listing things off to the captain to let Lionel know that these are all in order, and she's kind of wringing her hands a bit because it's really dang cold. And sure, she's got some fur on her in certain areas of her body, and of course some armor too. And she's wearing that Nigh Spear's tabard, but she's just kind of wringing her hands because it's so damn cold. And they're trying to just get everything in order. Now, you do have another individual, and he's kind of new to this whole soldier type of act and helping people in general. And he's still young. He kind of just joined into this whole expedition because, quite frankly, he thought he wanted to see, life. He kind of wanted to learn some new lessons in life, and they were great. However, he didn't expect to be this cold, and he also kind of just wanted to stay in Candlehurst and drink ale. But hey, you know what? At least he's trying to be good and set those goals. And that is Private Tatel Shivers. And Private Tatel Shivers is a Tengu. And he kind of just wants to get this over with as fast as he can, even if that takes months. So those are 3 very important characters to keep in mind. And then you have a very interesting character, because while you kind of just see everyone else packing up their caravans and their wagons, they have wargs because they're stable masters, kind of like what we talked about last time. You also have, kind of chefs putting in food and wrapping it so it'll, stay fresh, but it's so cold because it's already icy, it's already going to be frozen, right? And then you see huge crates, and lots of different people packing in goods to take with them. And then just next to Captain Lionel, you see a huge wagon being pulled roughly by about 7 to 10 different horses. These are huge horses too, like something like a Clydesdale, maybe bigger. And on there you have metal and wood and everything they would need to transport into creating their new city. Can you list them? Which one? List what initiative? Oh, list out the things on the parchment. Yeah. So materials: steel, iron, wood, furs, ale. Gotta have ale. Why wouldn't you have ale? Right. Wood, of course. Potions. You have a few different potions in there. So there's health potions and some warming potions, just to kind of keep things going. And then of course different types of elixirs that could help boost your health, essentially, in the case of a situation where maybe someone falls through the ice and they're freezing, right? And then there's blankets, of course, and rocks and stone. You know, there's tons of different things in this wagon. Amongst the other people, too, as they're also bringing other things. Are they the boots with the fur? No one's looking at Kaylin. No one's looking at her. Oh, okay. Anyway. Alright, so, moving on. So this is kind of what you see happening around you. And, but there's a very interesting character who is sitting upon or who's sitting in the wagon, the large wagon cart with all this material and all the, like, Clydesdale type of horses, next to Lionel. And he is not wearing Nightspear insignia, he does not have a tabard, he does not have any armor, he has nothing on him, except for his handmade clothing and his tailored furs and skins and hides. And he's actually a rat folk. He's an interesting character. His name is where is it here? I just had it. No. His name is Dolben Squirmer. And Dolben, as you see him sitting there on this pile mass of material, keep in mind, wind is blowing, it's snowing a little bit, the sun is barely out, kind of what you see here on this visual, and everyone else is packing things and getting ready to go. One, does not look very cold at all, but two, this rat folk man is knitting. He has 2 knitting needles, and there is this scarf that he's working on, and he's just knitting away as the counting is going on. Curse ads! Oh, hey Jake. Welcome. Dolben Squirmer. Yeah, I'll actually type that into chat for y'all. So Dolben is going to be such a fun character to note. And Dolben turns to the captain, and he says, "Sir, would you like this scarf that I'm knitting? In fact, I have many different colors to choose from." And he starts pulling out some different yarns and different strings. And he's like, "Oh, and you know what? If you would not like a scarf at this time, I, in fact, can make you really whatever you need." And the captain just kind of, like, looks at him and, like, raises a brow. And he goes, "Dolben, look, I know that I've been instructed to take you on this little expedition of ours, but realistically, I really, really don't need a scarf yet." And he's like, "You said yet." And the captain just kind of nods, "Yet. But look, knowing that we need someone to do warm clothing when we get there, yes, is an absolute need. And I am glad that you've been appointed by Nightspear Command. But please, stay out of our way. We really need to make sure these people get there safely. And I, Dolben, want to make sure they're warm. Especially you." Jake, I have no idea what I got myself into. Marine, none of us do. So, Captain Lionel, he goes back to checking things off. And Kaylin kind of wrings her hands again. She goes,
All right. You know, it's time. Let's go. We gotta get going. We gotta make haste. We've got to move. There's so many things to do, so many things to make, so many things to eat.
calm down. Captain puts his hand in front of Kaylin. And he kind of shouts out to the caravan that as you turn around and you look back, you see that it goes on for nearly almost a mile, if not that. Maybe even more. There are tons of people here. So maybe multiple caravans in that fact. That's kind of what it feels like. And sorry, Jake. Jake says I'm alone in a cabin in the woods and decided to see what Smunchy was up to. I'm still working out what that is. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun. It's a caravan. We're adventuring tonight, Jake. Adventure world building. That's what it is. It's great. So as you see this caravan, it just goes as far as you can see. There are people waving goodbye, giving each other hugs, kisses, loving on one another, and giving gifts. You even hear some muttering of others in the caravan saying, I hope we see you soon. When you get there, please write. So on, so forth. And the loved ones cherish one another. Captain Lionel, he holds up his hand and he kind of gives the signal to Private Tatel. And Private Tatel, being the first there, then has to pass the message backward to the rest of the caravan. Tatel kind of cups one hand and he shouts back, "All right, we're moving out." And then next guy takes that and you hear, "Moving out, saddle up," and it keeps on echoing down the line. Brain's like, I've never been more confused about what the game plan is than I am in this moment. I have a vague notion, but I'm in the same boat. I know it's going to be exciting, right? So, Captain Lionel gets on his horse, and Kaylin, she gets on her goblin wolf-looking thing, and Tatel, Shivers, is jumping in the back of the wagon with Dolben. And he looks at Dolben. He's like, "Great to meet you." and he kind of looks up, and he's like, "Are you cold?" Tatel's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He's like, "Would you like a scarf?" He's like, "Oh, jeez." As he's fiddling around though, Tatel is just kind of moving things, and he kind of feels this tail like slither across his leg. And as he's doing that, he kind of shouts down at the individual, and he goes, "Hey now, you shouldn't be in here." To what is revealed as a kobold. And this kobold looks up to him. And what does he say, Marine? This is where it gets fun. So we're going to see if this experiment works out well. While Tatel is questioning this kobold, Lionel and Kaylin are looking at one another as they're kind of writing. Kaylin says,
I don't really know if this is kind of the wisest decision that we've made, but I know that wherever we're going to go, it will be a new life for all of us.
Lionel just kind of nods. He's like, kind of just, you know, like tired. He's like kind of done. He's had, you know, a really long day, you know, checking through things and all that. And he's like, yeah, I really need to get some sleep. Need to get some rest. But, you know, I'll just power through as I usually do. Private Tatel, now trying not to step on this tail. He hears this kobold speak. Hello? What was that you said? I was lost in thought for a moment. Tatel just puts the crate, the small box down next to him. He just puts a folded arm on his hip. You're not supposed to be here. This cart is meant for all the different materials. I understand we're all cold, but you just can't be in here. Dolben perks up. Oh, did you say cold? I can give you a scarf. I can make you many different things. How would you feel about that, little kobold? As they're exchanging their discussion, you hear back over that a lot of people are just kind of chattering, you know, from behind and in front, and the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. Captain Lionel kind of pulls he has like an undershirt, he pulls it up a little bit, kind of pops the collar a little bit over his neck, and then pulls his cloak tighter onto him. And as he's doing so, readjusting his hood and trying to block out as much of the wind as he can. Kaylin, she's kind of also doing the same thing. She's fidgeting on her goblin wolf here, and, you know, kind of petting him as everyone's moving forward. And they have now moved forward, and now the cart begins to move. All of them start to move forward. Tatel kind of lifts the kobold and looks at him, and the kobold says, Sure, a blanket would be nice, if it's not too much trouble. It really is frigid out here. Dolben, of course, knowing that this is such a great moment and opportunity for his clothing and for his tailored lines, reaches down into a sack next to him and pulls out this super fluffy, you don't even know what this material is. All you know is that it's so fluffy that it could just, when you touch it, your hand melts and sinks into the fluff. He pulls it out and he throws it at the kobold. You know, this would do nicely. It'll keep you warm. And it's free. It's completely free because, well, you know, Darkspire and all that undead things, necromancy, something like that. Either way, Darkspire's wonderful, and he has provided us, or really they have provided us with kind of everything that we need. Tatel kind of just puts his hand on his head. He's like, thank you, Dolben. That's exactly what we wanted. This fluffy, colored, I don't even know what color is this. What would you call this? Dolben, oh, we would call that mauve. Tatel is just shaking his head. It's like, mauve? This looks like my meat. And he takes the blanket and starts to wrap it a little bit around the kobold. Say, what's your name? Why are you here? Where are you going? Why are you here on this, and Tatel starts, like, waving his arms, not sure exactly how to explain this huge, huge caravan that's around him. this migration, I suppose. And to pause there and answer Jake's question, I don't know if this is Frostpunk. This is definitely a continent where it's very cold here. It's very frigid. It is unofficially a part of something like Golarion in Pathfinder. So, you're in that kind of world. Unofficially. But Naltulth is official. For Smunchy Games. Initiative says, that didn't occur to me. It may as well be Frostpunk. Maybe not as thick with body piles and child labor. I guess it's pretty close. It's definitely an interesting place, so I guess Frostpunk could fit it, but there's not really a lot of technology. It's definitely very Pathfinder-esque. We will miss you, Jake. Thank you for stopping by, man. The kobold speaks to Private Tatel. I am Widget, a biologist and adventurer. But wow, this is truly a blessing. Are you sure I can have this? Oh, why, indeed, young sir. My crafts are for any who deem to be worthy. Worthy of Darkspire, that is. If they're listening. But more importantly, those who are cold. Because, and Dolben kind of gestures around to all of the snow and the ice and to everything cold around him. Widget, you say? Tatel kind of starts looking in pots, and he's kind of like fishing around for some kind of food. Well, Widget it is. You're more than welcome, I guess, to stay here now, since Dolben gave you this, whatever this is, a blanket, something. So I've never seen this before. It almost looks like a cloak. I don't know. Anyway, you're more than welcome to stay. I'm kind of just, here and, being an ice bear and all, I kind of have to support this expedition, but, we'll deal with what we have. I am a soldier. They call me Private. But, someday, I don't know, I could be a captain. I could be just like Lionel. I don't see why not, right? Well, what is it you do? Why are you going, Widget? I mean, if you're, this biologist and adventurer, what are you planning to do as a biologist? I mean, what is it that a biologist actually brings of value to this place that we're about to set up, a newfound world, a settlement? Camera posing away and pulling away, looking now here at Captain Lionel. Captain Lionel is now pulling out a map, a small map. And this map is literally that big. It's maybe about 6 inches by 6 inches. Very, very tiny. And all you can see on this map is the shoreline, Candlehurst, a couple of the boats and ships that are off the docks on this map. And you can also see the caves of the Darkmeld goblins and the Blindstrike orcs and the kobold, Gravehand kobolds. And then you can see kind of like a temple almost for Darkspire. And really that's it. Everything else on the map, going from about a quarter of the way to the map toward the right of that map, is nothing but blank and emptiness. Except for one red dot. And that red dot is marked roughly 20 to 30 miles away from Candlehurst. He then takes a pen, and as they're going, he looks up from his horse, and you've all been traveling now for probably about, I don't know, I'd say about 15, 20 minutes. People are really, really cold. The horses are doing great, though. They're like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. And then you kind of see some of the people around you in the caravan. They actually have this dark gray mist, kind of like, almost like an aura that is going around them. And you would recognize this as a Darkspire blessing. And Kaylin kind of takes a little pebble that she has in like this like little pouch next to her that she can just kind of throw at Captain Lionel to get his attention. Kaylin takes the pebble and goes, pff. She goes, psst. Hey, look. Lionel looks over and he now sees the blessings of Darkspire kind of like aura rising, is that a word? Around the people. Captain Lionel realizes that Darkspire is definitely with them today. However, as he kind of, stares back at the map, he knows that while Darkspire will help them survive, he doesn't exactly want to survive his first death today. So he looks out further, and about a mile or so away, he sees kind of this like almost like an ice bridge over a canyon of ice, and he kind of etches that in where you see some of the blank spots coming from Candlehurst onto the map. Hasn't been named yet, but this ice canyon is looking very fragile. In fact, Captain Lionel doesn't know if everyone is going to actually make it over that ice bridge. And that makes him extremely nervous. Kaylin notices his face kind of crumple in concern.
What's wrong, Captain? Something's bothering you? Can't be Darkspire. Darkspire's given us everything.
No, that's not it, Kaylin. I'm just concerned about the expedition and that particular thing right out there. Kaylin looks up, and now she has noticed, a mile off, this fragile ice bridge and canyon. As we pivot back to Tadal and Dolben and Widget speaks to Private Tadal.
I was planning on setting out. This expedition to catalog any and all wildlife we find so that I can make this world a little less mysterious and daunting. If people know what horrors await them in this land, it's easier for them to know the steps to take to make it through their journey. The sooner we learn all we can, the better chance we have of taming this harsh land.
Oh, I see. Captain Tadal tries to look interested and intrigued at Widget's statement. But in fact, he doesn't really care much about wildlife at this moment. But Dolben now is fascinated in hearing more about what Widget has to say. Dolben takes his knitting needles and puts them to the side and puts the scarf down. And he takes his hands and leans on them where his elbows are pressed onto the box in front of him.
Oh, is that so? Wildlife can be quite frightening, but I am indeed interested in what you're going to document. I mean, is this going to go into books? Are these books that others can see and learn from? Or is this more of a just a you type of thing. Not saying that I want to read it, but I kind of want to read it. But only if you're gonna let me read it, of course. But that's entirely up to you. And if it's not a book, I would love to hear more about what you're going to actually document. And of course, if any of them need something to wear. Tatel rolls his eyes. And he pulls out a piece of wood and a knife. And he starts chipping away at the piece of wood, whittling it down. He then takes his right leg and crosses it over his left leg. Dolbin, I don't know quite what you see in this, but, you never know really what is out there. I guess Widget's right. Maybe there's something big and scary out there, but let's be honest, what's more scarier than Darkspire? Well, not that Darkspire is just scary, but, also, amazing at what they do. And, Tatel trying to cover his tail feathers, or lack of, really. In the case Darkspire is listening. Because, Tatel, while he's appreciative of what Darkspire has done, he still is kind of on edge about the whole undead thing. He doesn't really believe that the undead should really be having their own, sense of reason and free will. They're undead, right? As we pan back to Captain Lionel and Kaylin, Captain Lionel starts drawing out that ice canyon and that ice bridge again. And this, my friends, is where we begin some world building. So there's an ice canyon right now that exists, but there's also an ice bridge. Now, before we get to this part of the story, kind of where we're exploring, we need to name this ice canyon. We need to know, this bridge and kind of what else is down there in the ice canyon, but also what's around the area. On top of that, we would also kind of need to know maybe a creature or two that would live around this area in the ice canyons. And if there's even any plant life. We're in the middle of Naltulth, right? Or, well, not in the middle of it, but you know what I mean. We're on a really frigid land. So, now that we're here, I'm going to actually pull open this document. And I am going to... Actually, I'm going to make a whole new one for this one. Which maybe I should have done earlier, but that's okay. We're mid-story. I think you kind of understand the cadence now, where we will be stopping in world building. So, Naltulth, world building. Ice canyon. Ice bridge. Now again, keep in mind, this ice bridge is pretty fragile. Captain Lionel right now, he doesn't know if this is going to collapse or not. He has no idea. He just knows that it looks fragile and that it's not exactly the best place to be. He also has no idea what is in this ice canyon. He doesn't know what creatures live there. He doesn't even know if there's plant life around that they could forage in the situation where someone gets hurt. And if things do go bad, how the heck, what other, aside from the goods that they have, and if they do lose any goods crossing over this bridge, kind of knowing that there's probably no other way around this, what can they scrounge up to find to help others, whether it's tea leaves, or some kind of healing thing, or something to help with wounds, or whatever the case may be. Right now we are heading away from Candlehurst, and we are going, so Candlehurst is kind of southwest
west. So I'll do this here. We are going northeast. So it's literally just getting colder as we go. But now, keep in mind, we're only going 20 to 30 miles inland. Specifically because we just don't know all these scary things, and it's better to be 20 to 30 miles out than like 50 to 100, right? Because at least now if we do need to get back to Candlehurst, we could. Also, Initiative has asked, how established in Candlehurst, still early settlement or big city, getting a supply import? They're definitely getting a supply import. So Candlehurst does have a supply import, but it's a slow import. Because, I mean, they're having to travel by ship going north. There's only so much that they can fly because, you know, they still have griffins and other great, crazy beasts that can get up there. But once they get there, they're like, that's it. They're done. They warm up and get the heck out. But most of it's going to come by ship. Export as well. It's the same thing. That's kind of been the beauty of Darkspire, because Darkspire has blessed the land, and has blessed them. All of their survival-based needs are met. So things like food is met, clothing is met, which is kind of why Dolben can kind of just throw things out there whenever he wants, because it's in such a mass supply there in Naltulth, he doesn't have to charge for it. But he makes most of his money from the south, from the exports coming in. I'm actually going to note that here. Or going out, I mean. Alright, Initiative says, I thought we were bringing supplies to Candlehurst. No, we're taking them from Candlehurst and bringing them to a brand new settlement. Land travel is expensive. Yeah, especially, land travel is especially expensive when Naltulth is not even connected to the other lands. So. All these are good questions. Nisha says, what is this caravan's mission, seeing as it's headed into the wilderness? Our primary mission in this caravan is to start a new settlement. We are here to literally create a new city or town, and start a new chain of places for people to expand. Because we know we have Darkspire's blessing, we at least know survival needs will be met to some extent. However, what that means is, well, a lot of different things. This has been a lot of fun so far. I don't know about y'all, but granted, I love storytelling, but I also really love world building. And being able to be on an adventure while we're world building is really damn cool. Typically, a lot of game masters go about it where they're, you know, they just world build off of what the group creates from their, like, RPG sessions. But this is so much more fun, in my opinion. what does Candlehurst have going for it? Mining operations. So Candlehurst. This is why Candlehurst is so great. Perks. You do have mining operations. So you have metals, gems, stone, etc. Candlehurst also has an abundant amount of wildlife. So this also means foods, hides, and leathers. So in some cases, during if the land is blessed by Darkspire, you may actually see something like carrots growing out of the snow. And it's kind of nuts because, like, or even strawberries, right? Strawberries is like a summer type of fruit. So you may just see a strawberry growing out of the ground because it's been blessed by Darkspire. That's what kind of makes this nuts, is they have a very large unlimited supply of things. For survival needs, though, only. Where what they don't have is things that aren't survival based, like gems, precious metals. So this is a big one. Other things would be like ale. They don't have a lot of ale. Other things from southern regions they would have to import. So there could be like silk and yarn they would never have. Well, they might have yarn, but they would definitely not have silk. Unless, the spiders there, the Gontantulas, were able to produce that. But they don't really. So there are certain goods that they have and certain ones that they just don't have that are like more luxury to them. Oh my god. Alright, it looks like Marine has a creature. So let's go on ahead and do that. This is actually needs to be a heading 3. So what did you call them? Icy locks. Which this would be a heading 4. Large mod bat. Oof, jeez. Like creatures that sleep hanging from the ceilings and natural outcrops of ice. They are completely blind. Use echolocation to perceive their surroundings. Their shrieks can be heard in the night from miles away, and are a sign that they see all of their surroundings once heard. Loop. All right. It is said that if you hear an ice you lock, it can see you. That's terrifying. Okay. An example of what I'm thinking of is like a smaller, more bat-like version of Keizu from Monster Hunter. Okay, cool. That's pretty awesome. I think Keizu from Monster Hunter, but smaller. That's awesome. So, going back to initiative, hopefully that kind of explains like what they would import and export to start, right? So here's the difference though, okay? It's for survival, so it's not like mass amounts of it. It's just what they need. So you may find this popping up in the snow, but it's going to be one or two of these plants at most for the time being. So it's not like, you know, sure, they can compile it and like put it out, but they're trying to survive. So they can survive, but it's just enough to survive. It's not like, here is a whole crate of strawberries. Like, that's something they would have to import. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's kind of a big one, really. These are all good questions. With that said, though, we do need a name for the ice canyon. Especially knowing that these ice U-locks hang from the ceilings in the caves there. Marine says, so would it be considered a rare event to see any plant life at all? Kind of. Again, it's based on what you need. So, if you truly need, like, a strawberry, then it will be there for you. In some cases, if you need X plant, then it'll be there for you. That's not to say that there isn't other plant life, though. So you could see it every once in a while, especially closer to, like, base of mountain regions. So right now, kind of where we're at, the mountains are farther off, but the canyon's still there, and the ice is still kind of there. Now you have like kind of a hill that's going up a bit, that's kind of stony. So you might see some plant life growing there, for sure. You would definitely find some plant life in the caves, absolutely. Nothing like too over the top, but it'd be in there. Initiative says, fishing, seals, root vegetables, cabbage, broccoli, potatoes, trying to look up cold weather crops. There you go. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, strawberries would have to be magical. That's why I use them as an example, because here in Texas, like, why I know all of, like, the different seasons, because we have so much agriculture around here. So, like, strawberries is a summer fruit. And a strawberry in a place like Naltulth is pretty dang rare. But it could still be something you need. So yeah, shellfish, oysters, absolutely. Fishing. So fishing here. Which actually, I'm not gonna lie, lobster and crab sound really, really good right now. Why would we be doing this? It you cold? It too cold? Or it you? E2 cold canyon? And the Y2 cold caves. Joking, of course. I knew it. Not wait you cold? Wait, you cold? Wait, you cold? You can't be cold. You know what this place is? This is paradise. Summer paradise. What does this say? Fat you cold bluffs? Oh my god. Oh, I wish. Oh, I wish. Oh man. Oh man. So once we have named these things or any other, very specifics like other creatures or plant life that you would like to give these to, specifically the canyon. But once we have the bridge name and the canyon name, we should be good to go. Shiver Shriek Canyon. I actually really like that. Shiver Shriek. The Ice Mold Labyrinth. That's interesting. I don't know where that would fit or what you're referring to, but I like the name. Initiative asks, do these places have local names? Or are a bunch of warm-blooded foreigners making it up as they go? I can tell you right now that the local natives, they don't really have names for these things. They do have names for their underground tunnels, though. That's a different story. Which actually I'm going to just detail in this document, so I know that we've talked about it. Yeah, no, they would. And that's kind of the thing, is that a lot of the Darkmeld goblins, and the Blind Strike orcs and the Gravehand kobolds, all of them, they don't really name things above the surface. They just talk about the different holes that they go into, or the different caves, the different places that they reside. You might find them in a canyon, but it's open enough to where they really wouldn't have considered it. I mean, like, you have to think about it. Candlehurst, a town, a city, that's really weird to them. But they like it. They've embraced it. And they said, heck, why not? Let's all be friends. And they're like, cool, let's all worship Darkspire. So everyone had this, like, crazy undead party. After they got over their differences, of course. Oh, and of course, the Blight Shadows tried to kill everyone. But, I mean, hey, that's a small detail in the story. Marine says, that was the name I was giving to the ice caves. Okay. Ice Mold Labyrinth. That's really cool. I do like that name a lot. Let's do... What was this heading to? Ice caves in Shiver Shriek Canyon. It's really exciting. Man, Icy Locks are going to be crazy, though. Like, can you imagine? I can't even imagine it right now. Marine, how big, when we say their size, because you said it's a smaller version of Keizu, are they, like, large enough to pick up a human and drop them? Or are they more swarm-like and smaller? Marine says, yeah, I would think caves made of ice would be extremely difficult to navigate, especially if the ice is clear, so people who don't have them memorized would be totally screwed. Yeah. Absolutely. Just looking on Reddit here. Looking for anything possibly new. Just to make sure, because it's good to do that. Oh, heck. No, okay. Yes, I was thinking a 4 to 7 foot wingspan. Gotcha. Icy locks have a 4 to 7 foot wingspan. That's crazy. So, yeah, that's kind of terrifying. I love it. Okay, cool. So, we have a name for the canyon. Actually, I'm going to put this at a heading 3 as well. We even created a cave. We created a cave system here called the Ice Mold Labyrinths. Or Labyrinth. And then Marine... What did Marine say? And they love to just latch onto things and just chow down like a cookie cutter shark. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a terrifying thing. Ugh. My neck is killing me, y'all. Initiative says, could your mortis mites be found up here? Either as a parasite on local fauna or a vegetable pest? If they're bloodsuckers, is there a risk of blood-borne illness from lazily prepared bandages using mites that have recently fed? Whoa. Wow. Where creatures with blood live. They're like mosquitoes, but less evil. Less evil mosquitoes. So you could have mortis mites here. Do they fly or more like fleas? Mortis mites fly. Just capturing things that may or may not have been in your initial submission, which is here. So mortis essence. I need to make a note of that too. They fly, they don't bite people, they actually drink from already existing limbs. Which is why they form a sort of symbiosis with most large creatures. Gotcha. And did your dude discover the medical properties up here, or with warmer climate varieties? Right. They haven't actually discovered this yet. This is getting a little bit past where I wanted to go at the moment, but we'll get there. Just making some notes. On that, with that said, though, do we want to talk about plant life? And we should probably name this bridge, this ice bridge. Good job rolling with the question barrage. Back to the canyons. Yep. So, plant life, no plant life, ice bridge. What do we want to call this ice bridge? I almost just tried to eat my dice. That was weird. Like, I was thinking about it, like, I don't know about y'all, but, like, I love Reese's Pieces or, like, peanut butter M&Ms. I know they're really bad for you, but I really love them. And I haven't had any in a while. A long while. But I was looking at them, I was like, oh, those look great. And then I'm like, oh, these are dice. You shouldn't be eating those. Initiative says, bridge could be named after someone, especially if it doesn't hold and someone in the caravan eats it. Shame, really. Yep. Good. There are a lot of people there. A lot of people. Or something simple like the Northeastern Span. For the bridge name? I could see that. Thin Water Drop. Oh, dang. I like that. What do you think of that initiative? Thin Water Drop's actually pretty good. Even though I guess it's like, it's not like a, well, it's not a, I mean, it is a drop. It's a bridge. I don't know. It almost sounds like splunking to me. Don't drop off that thin water. X Rift Crossing. X being the canyon's name. Okay. I like that. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Sorry, y'all. Thin Water Span, maybe? I don't know what thin water means. Did the canyon get a name? The canyon did get a name, yeah. So the canyon's name is Shiver Shriek Canyon. And then actually Marine went a step further and named the caves just outside and like kind of some of the inner workings of it, Ice Mold Labyrinth. Which is pretty cool. Shiver Shriek, yeah. And it kind of walks hand in hand with our Icy Lock bats, too. So, Ice Bridge is made of water, and it's a thin bridge, so it's a thin water bridge. Shiver Shriek Span. Too much alliteration. Maybe. Thin water bridge. I mean, Thin Water Span could work. Oh, I had something at the top of my mind. And I've lost it. Oh, it was so good, too. Alright, thesaurus.com, do your worst. Honestly, I feel like we are dangerously close to a great name, but we are not seeing it. I agree. You guys have some good things here. So we have, I don't know, I'll just write these down. So we have Thin Water Span. What did you call it? The Northeastern Span. Well. Although, this one doesn't make sense to me fully, because even though it is northeastern, it's not, like, completely northeastern. It's kind of like, you're only 20, 30 miles away. And then you had something that had, what did you say here? You said it was too much alliteration. Shiver Shriek Span. I should probably spell shriek. Correct. Oh, did I not spell it here correct? Sure didn't. Ice-Uloc's Respite. Can't hear that. That's all my dice. Too much of a mouthful. Ice-Uloc's Respite. Yeah. Mournful Span. I've always said it respite, but still a mouthful. Yeah. Icy-Locks Respite. Yeah, it would still be a lot. This is great. I think it's great. I love this so much. Thin Water Respite. Thin Water Respite. Slick's Crossing. I just put Slocks. Some dude named Slick. Or it's just really slick. Like, who's slick? I'm pretty slick. Rip. Slick. Slick is the one who dies. Alright. Can do that. Oh, Shivers Fall. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good name. It makes me think of, like, Shiver Falls, though. You know. I don't know. I like that, though. That one's really good. You gotta go cross up there? Yeah, you know, up there by Shivers Fall. Oh, right. Actually, it makes sense, though. Like, see, that's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to put characters and things in here, because I can hear them talking in my head now, and you're all there with me. You are there with me now. So, like, how I normally do world building, like, when we were talking about things, you know, I'm like, well, normally I have characters and I'm building around them. That's exactly what we're doing, but I'm not alone now. You're there. Like, I can see them talking in the back of, like, you know, like a caravan later on, or just like two characters in the future going, oh yeah, you know, that's kind of where we put that outpost, you know, over there by Shivers Fall. Oh, is that where that happened? Yeah, it was incredible and awful all at the same time. It would be kind of Archie. Not like the comics, but there'd be an arch. So, but it's still, so there's still some arching here. So think of it like this: on the one side that we're on right now, the caravan, there's an arch that kind of comes out, and then in the middle it's very thin and there's no support, and then there's another ice arch that comes off of that other side of the bridge. Shivers Fall is really good, though. Or some windswept bank that built up into a bridge. Right. Something like that. I do like Shivers Fall, though. What do y'all think? It doesn't completely speak to you. Okay. What is going to speak to you? What are you looking for? Clearly, so where Marine's at in his headspace is he's thinking of an event. Something for them to talk about later on. Are you looking more for something similar, but with, like, how you mentioned Slick's Crossing, like it's named after a person in particular? So you kind of seem to both be almost there. Slightly adjacent, though. And I can tell you that myself, I am right now, as the World Building Master, Game Master. What am I? A GBM? A GWM? GWBM? No, I'm not a GWBM. We're not going to call myself that. Either way, the story is kind of frozen, and I'm just sitting there in the cart with Tato right now. And not frozen like, frigid frozen like in there. You know what I mean. I was trying to make a pun and a dad joke, but it didn't work out. Might be the shape of the words. So more like this. Shivers fall. Marine says a plant that grows here would be Shiver's Thorn. Or what about Shiverthorn? Instead of Shiver's Thorn, it's just called Shiverthorn. Shape as in mouthfeel. Oh, Shivers Fall. Okay. So the F is what's tripping you up. Because your Shivers Fall. The S transitioning into the F is kind of strange. A vine plant that grows at the bottom of Shiver Shriek. It creeps its way up the sides of the canyon. Canyon. D'Artagnan. Okay. It uses guano from the Icy-Locks as nutrients to grow and produce small melons at its base that contains excess water. Cool. Fresh water is always good. Go back here. Base. Excess water. It's melons juices contain a chemical in them when it is mixed with water points. It will prevent freezing. That's cool. It is sweet in taste. If you were to bite into it. Will it kill you? Oh, are they? That's okay. Shiverthorn. Also, I forgot to mention that the vines have thorns that it uses to grip the canyon's edge. This vine has thorns that will grip the canyon's edge. Cool. Alright, back to our ice bridge. So shivers fall. Maybe Shiverfall? Maybe the S is too much and doesn't feel good in the mouth. Shiverfall. Maybe the F feels weird. Sure, let's say that the thorns have toxin in it. Okay. If you consume the Shiverthorn fruit, toxins will invade your body. This toxin is fatal. I can probably word that better. Oh, the thorns have the toxin, not the fruit. Okay. Let me reword this. If you are to touch thorns, the toxins will seep into your bloodstream, causing a fatal outcome. Initiative says some new thesaurus words to show in the mix: bitter, bleak, brisk, crisp, numbing, snap. Oh, cool. Huh. Shiver snap. Here we go. Shiver snap. Ice snap. Frosted is kind of long. Arctic Arch. Thawberries! I like thawberries. But they're, well, I guess a melon is a berry, isn't it? But it's not really tiny, though, because I guess that could give off the context that it is small. Bitterfall Reach. Bitterfall Reach is a good one. Bitterfall Reach. Is it a reach? It's reach. I'm going back to your thesaurus. Where's your thesaurus? There it is. Brisk. Brisk something. Nothing came to my mind for brisk. Bleak. Melon is just a really big berry. We can make them berries instead. Okay. That's what you want. Oh, Gao. Grow. Produce small, berries. The berries juices contain thawberries. I like thawberries. Strawberries. Well, strawberries aren't berries either, but that never stopped us. That is so true. Shiver Snap, Ice Snap, Shiverfall, Arctic Arch, Arctic, not Aortic. Arctic Arch, Bitterfall Reach. That's a good one too. What else we got?
Did you hear what happened at Bitterful Reach?
Don't worry, Edna dear. I'll just be stationed over at Bitterful Reach for some time. I will write to you indubitably.
You hear what they're saying, yeah? They're running out. Really? Yeah. All the thawberries. I don't even know where they can find them anymore. Over there in Shiverfall. Yeah.
Bitter Falls. Part of an ancient frozen river. I like it. What do you think, Brain? Bitter Falls. Bitterfall. Bitterfall does sound better because then you have Bitter Falls. Great. We're going to call this Bitterfall then. Bitterfall. Would it be Bitterfall? And then you would have the Bitterfall Falls? Or maybe they just would never refer to Bitterfall Falls as Bitterfall Falls. I like the one word too. Let's close all this. Kill that. And this. Cool. So the bridge is Bitterfall, but the falls are Bitter Falls. Bitterfall Chasm. That's the canyon, though. Right? Because we already have that. It's called Shiver Shriek Canyon. Okay. Alright. that's what we got. Bishop Falls. Cool. Alright, so let's go back. Let's see what we've done. Alright, so we have created quite a bit already. We have Shiver Shriek Canyon, the Ice Mold Labyrinth, the ice caves in Shiver Shriek Canyon. We have a new creature here called the Icy Locks. They are terrifying bats. We have Mortis Mites, which we'll come back to that in a minute. We then have Plant Life, this new thing called a Shiver Thorn, which they grow thawberries on them. And then, of course, we have our arched, frozen bridge that was once part of this ancient river. It is called, at the moment, Bitterfall Bridge. Here we go. Back to story time. And it will probably, this next scene or two will probably end this first session, and then we'll go into the second one next Monday. Alright. Initiative says, well, canyons are formed by rivers, yeah? Maybe the top of the river stayed frozen over, and the under portion continued to carve the canyon. Total possibility. Yeah. So, and I mean, because you'd have caves down there, too. It all makes sense. Alright. So here we go. Back to our scene. You see Tadel whittling away, still at his piece of wood. And Doblin is still listening very intently to what Widget has to say here. Initiative also says most of sketchy ice bridges remaining. Does that mean that some of Ice Mold Labyrinth would be underwater? Yeah, actually it would. I'll make a note of that real quick before we continue. Some of the canyons are still, or some of the caves are still underwater. That's good. I copy pasted it too, but that's great that it's here. So, Dolbin is still kind of intrigued. Widget says, indeed, I plan on publishing all of my findings in this very journal. I'll catalog descriptions of the creature's physique, their eating habits if possible, if they are typically hostile based on our experiences, and how we managed to deal with them if they caused us any problems. This information is invaluable to adventurers and travelers alike. And who knows how many lives this information could save? Tadel just kind of just kind of whittles on his wood. You know, I don't quite know really what that means, but if you feel that that kind of information is going to save lives where we're going, so be it. Dolbin just kind of looks appalled a little bit at Tadel. Like, he's kind of flabbergasted. And then he just speaks his mind, and he says, Tadel, how can you be so dumb? How are you this dim-witted? Of course it would save lives. Having someone like a biologist here to write about these creatures would absolutely save lives. And any of them, of course, that would have, fur, any type of hides that I could use, would be an invaluable asset. Keeping people warm. Of course, and my pocketbook padded a little bit, but that's not the point here. It would be such a great tool to have. Tadel just keeps on whittling away. All right. good for you. And we pan over to see Captain Lionel now finishing his etching of the canyon and the bridge, and he's starting to notice as we get closer now we're about an hour or two into our travel, and the caravan is coming up to the edge of this bridge, to the edge of the canyon and where this bridge is. And Captain Lionel stops his horse and jumps off, walks a little closer, not too close to the edge, but he starts seeing these vines, like they kind of have these wicked looking hooks, these thorns into the side of the ice. And you can see them kind of like piercing into it, and then the ice kind of forming over those thorns and where they had pierced. On them, you can kind of see the vine twisting downward into the canyon. Not exactly sure what's there, but he notices a couple of stray berries that grew closer to the top of the vine. Is maybe not normal, but something that he was able to take notice of. Kaylin also stops her horse and she gets off. She says,
What do you see? What's going on here? Are we going to be all right? I mean, this bridge looks rather fragile.
Captain Lionel looks over the bridge once again. He can see the two arches on the sides that have formed from the flowing falls that are now ice flowing, and the water can still be seen flowing beneath the ice. Caverns and caves are in little holes as the canyon goes further down. Captain Lionel pulls out his map and he starts writing some words on there. And he starts drawing these large vines that are kind of hooked into the sides of the ice of the canyon. And he just puts a note off to the side. And he notices that the thorns are just huge and kind of terrifying, like hooks. And it's so cold here, it kind of gives him a shiver. And he writes Shiverthorn right next to that note. He leans over and he looks to Kaylin and he says, I don't know what's going to happen here, but whatever does, Darkspire be with us. And he takes the map, folds it for a second, puts it back into his pocket near inside of his cloak, starts making sure everything's secure on his horse. Cutting back to the scene here with Tadel and Dolben and Widget. Widget just looks around for a moment, but then just stares blankly at Tadel. He's shocked by how little this Tengu really knows.
You know, don't bother correcting him. Researchers is a thankless occupation as is. I have come to expect his point of view. And some people's foresight can't see clearly enough to know the value of these findings. It's just the way it is.
Dolben kinda, ha, he told you. Tadel just keeps on whittling. Mm-hmm. You know, that's fine, but quite frankly, I really don't see the need. Besides, I'm only here for another 6 months, and then I get to go back down south, and I don't have to worry about anything here. Dolben pulls back and starts knitting again, And then you hear him mumble under his breath,
Yeah, if you survive.
Dolben finishes the scarf from his knitting needles, takes one needle, shoves it into a yarn ball, takes his other knitting needle and shoves it into the same yarn ball, and he hands Widget this hand-knitted scarf. The scarf is a blue, it's like a dark blue, and in his knitting, you can kind of see stars that were knitted into the scarf. And I'm actually going to put that in here just for my mental note. And the stars are white. Cutting back to Captain Lionel and Kaylin. Kaylin jumps off, her horse, and she kind of rests her hand on kind of like his kneecap, thigh, waist area, because she knows that the captain is really concerned about all the people. She doesn't know how she can't find words to express her empathy, and knows that sacrifices are going to be made.
You know, Captain, things like this, well, they are quite hard. That is what we do. We are here to explore. And all of these people believe in you and our expedition of a new settlement. We will do our best, though, to save as many as we possibly can.
Captain Lionel it rests heavy on his heart. He knows something bad is going to happen, but it's the only way for them to go. And they cannot continuously stay out here in this frigid climate forever. And even then, making camp, when will that happen? If it even does. And he knows in his current situation that he truly, while he, again, is grateful for what Darkspire has done for him, he does not want to survive that first death. He has seen what it has done to a lot of his soldiers. And while they are fine and living in Candlehurst and things are great, it's not exactly what he had wanted for their lives. Or what they even wanted for theirs. I mean, being undead, that's kind of a scary thing. He looks back to Kaylin and he says, I know we will find a way through this. Just bear with me. And Captain Lionel turns away from his horse and looks back toward the cart. Cutting to that scene, Dolben has handed Widget this beautifully crafted scarf. Widget says, Why, thank you, my friend. This is lovely. He then turns to the whittler, to Tatel, and says, 6 months is a long time, my friend, and a lot of bad can happen in that time if you are not careful. Tatel just kind of, shakes it off a little bit, but he knows it's true. He knows what Widget said is true. He's like, well, you're right. maybe I really should be looking more at this as a way of life. And who knows, maybe your books really will come in handy. I guess only time will tell. From the front now, about 10 feet in front of you, Lionel is calling out to Private Tatel. Tatel! We're going over the bridge! Gear up. Tell the rest. Tatel turns around to look at everyone behind him, and then Tatel hasn't really seen the bridge, because all these boxes are stacked up, and they've just been in conversation, him and Widget and Dolben. And he stands up and he looks over the boxes, and it's this iced bridge with its icy fall and the river underneath, and the arches are holding this up, but in the middle it's very thin and fragile looking. And he feels sick. He feels nauseous. Because he knows that something bad really could happen. And knowing his duty as a Night Spear, he follows the command of his captain. He turns around and he shouts back in kind of a warbly voice. Alright, get ready to cross the bridge! And etc. as they go back on, passing the message to the Night Spears. Dolben leans forward and goes, "Oh my! It looks like you've seen a ghost." Tatel stands up and kind of puts his piece of wood and his blade down. He kind of says, still with that little warble, "I feel like I've seen many ghosts today." Widget responds, "Private, is there something the matter?" Tatel just kind of crosses his arms a bit, but not out of rejection at the comment or out of being obstinate. He's more out of fear and anxiety. Well, that bridge isn't going to hold all of us. Some of us may not make it out. Dolben's face now kind of becomes a little more serious, and he turns to look over the boxes of the wagon and all the different materials. "Oh my gosh! That bridge is so thin! How are we going to cross this?" Tatel just still has he's kind of moved his hands from the folded position like this and kind of like upward to his hands, like kind of in his armpits almost. And his sword is kind of like poking through like the hole in his arm here, like where the crevice of the elbow meets, and the sword hilt is kind of pulling through. And he's just pulling tighter into his chest. "I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I mean, we all knew that Naltulth was pretty bad. And I mean, for the most part, we didn't really expect all these things to happen. With the Blight Shadows and Darkspire actually saving us. Oh, man, I don't quite know really what's going to happen." Widget now, looking a little more concerned. "Tell them to halt and send us across one at a time, quickly." Captain Lionel now gets on his horse. Kaylin has gotten on her horse, and they start moving forward. The rider cracks the reins, and the horses begin to pull forward with the cart. Tatel starts to curl up a little bit, and he's frightened at what's about to happen. Dolben crawls quickly above on the boxes and shouts toward Captain Lionel. Wait! Wait! We can't do this! Lionel can't hear them. The wind picks up. Starts soaring through. The snow all of a sudden, coming from above, starts to get a little heavier. Initiative says, what are the supplies then? Marion says, I meant like one caravan at a time, like one group after the other. Isn't there like a ton of people behind us? Yeah, there is. Lionel, thinking that this is the only thing that they can do, and he can't hear Dolben's cries. He can't see anything now because the wind is picking up and the snow is starting to separate visuals from them. Kaylin looks behind her.
Sir, I can't even see the cart behind us.
Just keep riding, Kaylin. We have to get there. We have to get to the other side. We knew this was going to happen.
So, maybe we can stop.
No, we must move forward. And they walk out onto the bridge with their horses. Their horses start moving forward. They can't really see around them now. The snow is thick. It's so thick that you can only see a good foot in front of you, and even the horses know just to go forward. Sounds of voices kind of muttering fade. Shouting fades. And as they continue forward, everything seems to be all right. The wind howls again and kind of rips through the rest of the caravan. The snow is starting to come down a little heavier now. And Lionel and Kaylin have made it to the other side. See? Everything's fine. I knew we would be just fine here. And the rest of them can make it too. The bridge will hold.
Well, anything you say, sir.
As Lionel has gotten off, he sees the first cart pulling through. On that cart is Private Tatel, Dolben, and Widget. And they jump off, and the snow is starting to clear a little bit now. The winds are starting to die down just ever so slightly. First cart comes through, and Dolben jumps off, and he says,
Why did you have us all go over this bridge? First thing right away. Doesn't even make sense. You could have just done what Widget said.
Captain Lionel's just confused at what Dolben is speaking. Like, what is this even gibberish right now? Private Tatel can be seen kind of like in a fetal position, and he like pulls his head out. He's like,
Oh, we made it then. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's wonderful over here.
The second cart pulls in behind them, and then the third one, and then a group of about 10 different catfolk kind of like paw their way over. More people start flooding in. And then, as we sit on this edge, Captain Lionel takes a step forward, and the snow has started to clear out. The wind isn't as bad anymore. Well, I guess we just see what happens next. And as the caravans start coming over, the ice starts cracking beneath them. There's at least 200-300 people on the bridge now. And in the middle, it's beginning to give way. Children are with their parents, and they're holding close to them. They're scared. They start passing the children forward quickly off of one of the carts in the middle and passing them out. Breen already knows where this is going. Lionel taking children one by one, pulling them back, handing them to the catfolk, and just getting them over. And the cracks continue to form faster and faster. And just as things were starting to look great, the caravan now, right in the middle of the caravan, the ice bridge collapses. The middle of the bridge falls out. Carts fall, screaming can be heard. Shouts and yelling can be heard. People are crying for help. People are trying to hang on. Captain Lionel knew this was going to happen. He slides forward off as far as he can to the edge of the bridge piece that hasn't fallen yet, reaches out, grabs a couple people's hands. Dolben is out there trying to help now as well. Private Tatel is trying to find a rope, and Kaylin is still holding on to one of the children. And on the other side of the bridge, you still have half the caravan. Yeah, I know. And as they're able to pull some more people up, people have now fallen to their deaths. And they lay on the ice river below them. Unfortunately, this has awoken something much scarier. And and there's a familiar sound. Widget would recognize this, as does Tatel and Dolben and Kaylin and Lionel. And it's almost like a sound of shattering glass, and then a hiss and some crackling. There's two things that happens. The first thing, a shriek and a screech barrows out from the caverns. Whoa, on the other side, there's something happening. We don't know what's going on. Everyone's just kind of confused, looking at one another. Like a good creature name. The Icy Locks. There is a bat that's one bat that just flies up from the canyon. Captain Lionel just kind of shrugs. Tatel's like, he shrugs back, and Kaylin puts down one of the children and kind of ushers them back over to the catfolk. On the other side of the bridge is absolute chaos. People are trying to make their way to the other side. Some people even throwing themselves off of the other side, but with a rope. So they're not purposely, like, they're not hurting themselves. But they're just trying to get ropes down to see if they can climb up or another way around. One bat has gone through the air. It was so fast. People are like, what is this? And then out of nowhere, thousands of them shoot out of the cave. The caves below. And they notice all of the people dangling from ropes on the other side. And they start picking off people one by one, by one by one. Pulling them into their caves. Eating them, essentially. And Tadel is like, he is screaming right now. He is like, what is that? What is this? Like, he is so overwhelmed with these things, and Lionel just can't believe what's going on. And Kaylin is like, she starts to draw some, like, circles and drawing out some shapes, and she's, like, right now praying to Darkspire at this point. All of them are so far on the other side that we're just watching, like, a wave of Isulocks ripping this other half of the caravan apart on the other side of the bridge. It's so bad that when the Isulocks are done, there is literally not one person left on the other side of the bridge in that caravan. All of them have either been eaten or have died or are missing. The Isulocks didn't actually see the side of the bridge that Tadel and Lionel and the other folks are on. They dive back into the caves. But now there's something worse. As Kaylin is praying to Darkspire, she is chanting the words and wishing that they survive, or at least bringing all of these people back, surviving their first death. Before she can actually get this prayer out, there's like a dark mist starting to form around her and coming from the shapes that she has drawn on the ground. There's something else, though, that has caught the sense of a prayer, specifically to Darkspire. And in this territory, Darkspire doesn't reach here. Well, not yet anyway, not until now. So there has been no reason to really worry about those things, but, you know, all things said, there is the other side of the falls where this hill is at, and there looks to be like a kind of like almost like another spire in itself, almost like a beacon, but it's kind of plaguish looking. Like, it looks like it's decayed and kind of rotting, and there's a lot of green around it. It's just not something you would want to step into by any means, or around for that matter. A dark spire has kind of formed from what, or a dark spire tower? What did I call them? Hold on a second. Because I actually have a name for these things. A dark spire link has formed. So it's kind of like a small dark spire. But it has this magical essence, and it kind of has this like floating liquid in it at the top. And the other spire, they didn't see this until it was too late. Lionel takes Kaylin quickly off of the shapes and away from the dark spire link, and shakes her and goes, "Do you know what you've done?" And Kaylin is like horrified that the captain's even doing this right now. And as like Lionel is ripping into her verbally and scolding her, she kind of looks to her right and she sees the Blight Shadow Spire that sits just on the other side of the falls. From it a kind of like a crackle and like a flicker of green forms coming from the spire, from the blight shadow, and a portal opens up. I should not be laughing, I'm sorry. And the sensing, they knew now that this could be their last stand. A green, like a puke-looking green, like slimy-looking green kind of portal opens. And out through it steps a Blight Shadow Guard. And he's holding reins to a creature. And this Blight Shadow Guard, the reins that he's holding, is for his phantasmal steed, and the phantasmal steed walks through the same that portal. And right now it's just this one guard, this one Blight Shadow Guard with his phantasmal steed standing there, just kind of like, his head is kind of like cocked to the right, and his jaw is kind of like hanging down, and you can kind of see like his tongue just kind of dripping out, and his eyes are glowing green, and it's kind of just a stare off at the moment. But then a boom happens, and it rustles out from the side and just kind of drills out the side of the hill, and rocks start to fall, and then it booms again, and the portal opens up again. And there is another, like, it has grown larger. There are two more Blight Shadow Guards that step through. But the portal's staying open. It's not closing. And Captain Leinold is, like, he's shaking. He kind of knows what's about to happen. He draws a sword. Thankfully, Kalen was able to get that Dark Spire link out in time. But now they're going to have something much worse on their hands. Private Tatel is hiding behind Dolben. Keep in mind, Private Tatel has a shield on his back and a long sword as well. And Dolben has nothing on him right now because it's in the cart. Widget, I believe, is still in the cart as well. And the Blight Shadow Guard, the first one, speaks out, and this echoous tone ripples through their side of the canyon. You don't belong here. This is not Darkspire territory. Why are you on my turf? Widget has now, after hearing this, jumped out of the cart, pulled out his spell book, and put on his new scarf, and he's ready to fight. He's in a fighting stance. And Leinold draws his sword. Captain Leinold draws his sword and pulls out his steel shield. And Kalen, she has kind of put in her stance, her like sorcery type of stance, and Dolben is like looking around. He whispers quietly to himself, "I don't have a weapon." And he goes, "Ah!" He turns around, he skitters off, jumps back into the cart, and pulls out his knitting needles. And then jumps out of the cart and stands in a fighting position right next to Widget. And he looks over to Widget and he goes, "It's time to take out the trash." And Tatel just kind of begrudgingly pulls out his shield and his sword, and he's like kind of like hanging there loosely. I know, right? And he's like, "All right, if we have to," you know? And everyone there, the cat folk, they start to get into a fighting stance. The children The children all hide underneath the carts. They're scared for their lives at this point. There are a few other people, mothers, fathers, with the children, and just kind of trying to protect them. With an I instead of a Y for Dolben. And as they're all in their fighting stance, that's actually where we're going to end it tonight. So, next time, we will find ourselves in an encounter. Yay! How cool is that? I love it. Initiative. Olivine and Gabbro are sitting warm and comfortable at home. Wonderful weather we're having. Oh, God. Oh, it's too good. That is too good. Jeez. Sorry, I'm just making some notes here for tonight. Oh. Am I bleeding? I think I'm bleeding. Damn. Marine says, damn, well, that was messed up. Marine also says, I would say that was a very fun way of doing world building, but it gives me a great idea for more content we can make. Good. Yep. And that's the whole point of this. So if y'all had fun with this, and that's exactly why I wanted to do this, because now you can get the world building form, again, copy it, paste it, whatever you want to do, create something completely new that you want to add in. Because we're in the caravan still. Half of the caravan's dead, right? They've either fallen to their death, or the ice locks have eaten them. And the other half is still alive. You know, she didn't realize that Darkspire was going to get sensed by the Blight Shadow, and they show up with their green portals. So, and now we're here. Initiative says, yeah, it's interesting to have world building mixed with bursts of RP and narration. It is pretty cool, isn't it? I really enjoyed this. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it too. And you know, with people watching right now, they're probably like, wow, that was crazy, maybe we'll try this on our own. Which I kind of really hope they do. I really hope other people enjoyed this so much to where they're like, I really want to try and do an RP session while world building, and then they can just use chat. And if you kind of noticed, you know, the way I had set this up, if you want to do this on your own streams, because I really want to encourage people to do these things this way, if you had noticed, I had one scene that was completely removed from the players, and then I had another scene that involved the players who wanted to play in this realm, and Marine being that player, so I was able to take those two different scenes and split them. Now, of course, when you get more people, it gets harder to do, so it's still experimental, but I was able to do it successfully. So I really hope that other people try this if they are RPG gamers and they love world building. I really think this would be a really cool way for you to do things. Marine says, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can definitely give me a call. I only have, what time is it? I'll have about another hour roughly at most, and then I gotta bounce, but yeah. Initiative says, having a better understanding on what the caravan was for and where it was headed would have helped. That's true. And I'm making notes of that, right? Like, better introduction. Like, clearly that's something that may need to be written down going forward. I didn't I should have had that clarifying thing, but then again, I was hoping that the pre-stream would have helped with that, but I guess it didn't answer all those questions. Nisha says the element I wrote assumed early settlers en route to Candlehurst from another country. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. I could see where that would have been confusing, yeah. So maybe just putting in some further clarity of, like, mission goals, right? So, like, do better. Explain end goal. First, better communication around the reason for specific elements. Yeah, that's me of trying to progressively be better. So, and I'll be able to put that in, which is great. Oh yeah, so Initiative says like a Reddit Twitter prompt to get everyone on the same page. That's great too. That's a great idea. And that's something I wanted to do last night. I wasn't able to, I was just too tired. And then today, I was too busy with the other piece, but I think that's a critical piece, and I think that needs to happen in order to make it better. To do better. So yeah, I'm glad that y'all enjoyed this, though. I now need to make sure that I can save this video and upload it to YouTube. Because I need to be able to watch it. I thought I had, like, my settings already set up to save it to YouTube, but I guess I don't. I'm gonna do that. Because I have to go back and watch this at least a few times for sure. Marine, if you know how to set that up, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, do I need to, should I set it up now since it's still going? Like, will it save it after we've done this because it still has the VOD, or no, is that not a thing? We just need to take the VOD and upload it to YouTube. Okay. Oh, we can't do it the other way anymore? That's alright. That's okay. I thought there used to be like an auto thing where you could save it, or it would save on its own and then automatically upload it to YouTube, but that makes sense now. Okay. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. I really did. We got to know the characters a little bit, you know, Lionel, Caitlin, Tatel, Dolbin, and Widget, and our other friends were sitting, I guess, at home with nice weather. Okay, gotcha. So with that said, for the next session, which will happen next Monday at 8:15 p.m., please go here and download the file if you haven't already. If you have downloaded the PDF file for the world building, so you can submit it to Reddit or Twitter, that'll help, and it'll be great, and it'll allow me to just pop it in. So, let me give you all that link just one more time so you have it. Here you go. That is the link for the downloads. And yeah, submit them. So Olivine Resort and Spa. The way this was written, it's in Candlehurst. That's totally fine too. And then we have our Mortis Mites and Widget as an NPC. So, or as a PC, I'm sorry. And then, of course, we actually built, so just again, a quick review at the end of this. Kind of like our closing out. We have one, I've gotten feedback from y'all, so I appreciate that. We have our Shiver Street Canyon, which is now we know why they call it Shiver Street Canyon. We have our Ice Mold Labyrinth, which are the caves inside of the canyon. We have our Icy Lock creatures, which just devoured all of the people on the other side of the bridge when it fell through. And then we haven't gotten to Mortis Mites yet. It'll be a future thing. And then we talked about the Shiverthorn. We now know why it's called Shiverthorn. Because of those like hook type of thorns. And then of course the thaw berries that spawn from it. We're not there yet. We just know that they are on the vines. And then the reason why this bridge is named what it is because of the event that we just saw take place, Bitterfall. So, thank you all so much for coming out and watching us here tonight. I would say, and listening. Maybe you had us, in your background. That's great too. Listening to what we were doing here in the stories and the world building. I'm going to plug a couple things, and then I'm going to close out, and we'll say goodbye. Parslings is on GameFound. Still, you should back it. It is going to close roughly the first week of February. So late pledges are open right now. You should absolutely pledge to Parslings if you can. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed Naltulth and the world building here, and Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you should follow me either at Smunchy Games on Twitter, or you should, which is below, the cards below, or you can follow my personal account called at the Smunchy, so at and then the Smunchy, or you should also join our subreddit. So this is our subreddit here, r/Smunchy Games. We're going to be doing all types of Naltulth things here. You can join in on the fun with us and create things with us and be a part of the story, be a part of the world. Because here's the thing, everyone. This is what's really great about this. I'm going to show you, if I can find it. This little dude is a Dark Meld Goblin. This is art for Naltulth. Naltulth is going to be a published setting that is compatible with Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So if you are someone who is a Pathfinder player or know someone who plays Pathfinder 2nd Edition, they'll be able to purchase this copy when it's finished. Because this will be published through Smunchy Games. You can even see kind of some of the Darkspire magic right here that we just witnessed tonight, and what a Dark Meld Goblin would look like. So on that note, if you really enjoyed Naltulth, follow us, follow along with the journey. This is going to be published third party, and some of the things that are here in world building, they are going to be put into that book, which is really cool. So things like the Icy Locks, you are going to see them in the setting book or in this adventure, because, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to make an adventure path for that. Or you'll see it within the setting book itself, such as Shiver Street Canyon. You may see it on the map, right? You may see some of those things. So, anyway, all of that said, thank you so much. I would also say, too, last plug, I almost forgot, Frey, Journey into the Tastardan Trail, is available. It's available here. Actually, this is the core set. SmunchyGames.shop. Yeah, you can pre-order the second set. Standalone, you can play it standalone as well. You don't have to have the first set to play the second one. So you should absolutely pre-order it if you get the chance to here. And I'm gonna get the link for y'all. I'm gonna put it in the link. Game store. Put it in the link. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Jeez. Put it in the link. Put it in the Darkspire link. Yeah. So that's what we got. That's it. Pre-order ends November 20th, which is literally in 4 days. You have 4 days. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming out, and I hope to see y'all next Monday. Remember, go download the form. You want this form. You want it. You want it here. Where is it? Oh, geez. Link's in here. It's all in here. Yeah, here. You want it. Download it. Big green file. All right. I love y'all, and I will see you next Monday. Bye!